These right here are the contestants. That's Jesse Enkamp all the way to the left. I've talked about him before. We reacted to one of his videos, a couple of his videos actually. I like him overall, but there's sometimes he just says shit. The dude next to him with Muay Thai is MMA shredded Jeff Chan. Jeff Chan is his real name. I actually don't know who the BJJ guy is. I'm sure I probably would know his name, but I probably haven't seen his face. Shaolin, I have no clue. Street, no clue. I guess his thing is supposed to be that he's just a regular guy, but if you see him fight for 2 seconds, you know that he's trained, you know. And then all the way to the right is Natan Levy MMA. So one thing you have to understand about knife fighting is that nobody wins in a knife fight, right? The saying when it comes to knives is in a knife fight, the winner gets to go to the hospital. You don't ever want to be in a knife fight, even if you have a knife, even if you have a bigger knife. It's like, yeah, you got a bigger knife, but he's still got a knife. Do you want to take that chance, right? You would literally rather be in a gunfight than a knife fight. I don't expect these guys to be trying some weird Aikido redirect the knife type bullshit, but we'll see. We'll see.
I definitely decided to not try the same strategy as last time, which was go for the double legs this time. My strategy was to try to keep it striking.
I think that's a bad idea. So it starts off, right? And he does a good thing. He immediately, as you can see, well, he almost gets stabbed in the head. In fact, he pretty much just does get stabbed in the head. Now, the good thing that he did, okay, was he immediately tried to isolate this arm. That was a good idea. Now, what happened was he went to isolate the arm. He started up high, and then he went down. And unfortunately, he ended up not being in time as to where he got stabbed in the head. Now, part of the reason this happened is because he ended up going for the body lock, and he went for the body lock on, I guess, what you could say was kind of the wrong side, I guess, a little bit, right? And the reason I say this is because he would have been better off going to the other side, in my opinion, because it would have been a little bit harder for this guy to stab him, right? I'm not saying it would have been impossible, but the thing is, his head is over here, his knife is over here. He can just do that, right? He has a little bit more power coming over here than if the head was on this side and he was trying to stab that way, right? Power does come into play when you are trying to stab somebody, because the harder you stab, the deeper it's going to go, the more damage it's going to cause, right? He may have even been able to pin this dude's arm to his side with that body lock, right? So here's the knife hand. It's stuck here, and Jeff Chan is wrapped up around here, right? Now, at the end of the day, coulda, shoulda, woulda, and this is all easier said than done. I'm just breaking this down from a standpoint of what he probably could have done a little bit better. Now, going back to what he did right, the idea of trying to tie up that arm, right? As you can see, you know, it's kind of tough to see because the blurring, but you see, right there, yes, but hold on, we'll pause. You see, he's got it, right? But unfortunately, he ended up switching hands. And this is also a product of the body lock, right? What he should have been trying to do is take this dude down. He said he wanted to keep it striking. Well, he pretty much abandoned that immediately. And if he had taken the guy down and ended up in the mount, he could have tried to further isolate the arm, and it would have been a lot safer for him. What he should have probably done in this case, if he wasn't going to take this dude down, is once he isolated the arm, he should have let go of the body lock, and he should have went to what's basically a two-on-one position, a Russian tie. It's a little bit different from a standard Russian tie, because at the very least, now he has all of his weight on that dude's arm, and it's going to be a lot harder for him to give him the reach around, if you will, and grab the knife and start stabbing him again, like right here, right? I don't want to say he did, like, horrible, but he did get stabbed 20 times. You know? And I think what it comes down to is that he wasn't trying to neutralize the knife. He wasn't trying to stop the knife. He was just trying to fight the guy. Jeff Chan didn't try to make sure that he didn't get stabbed. It's more so that he was just trying to see if he could beat this guy in an MMA match where he just happened to have a force multiplier. That's kind of what this looked like, if I'm being honest with you.
Improve his record even further, with the next one involving an obstacle in the middle of the room.
Alright. That was a bad idea, dude. That was the worst idea. You notice how I didn't say anything about trying to hit the guy when I talked about using a car or another big object that is immovable to stay away from a knife attacker, right? You notice how I didn't say anything about trying to hit the guy. You just run. You got to get away, you know?
After consulting with a paramedic, it turns out the last 2 stabs would have reached Jeff's heart, leading this round to being a fatal one. And
that was good. I mean, it's nice. Like, I liked those punches, but overall, it wasn't... Like, those were some nice punches that he landed, but overall, he still got stabbed. I don't know how many times. Let's see.
taking the helmets into account, assessed that his strikes were knockout shots, and would...
Oh, okay. That's ridiculous. If his strikes were knockout shots, then that dude would be knocked out right now. Helmets don't stop brain trauma, right? There's nothing about those helmets that is going to stabilize these guys' heads enough as to where their brains will not collide with the inside of their skulls, thus causing a knockout and a concussion. That's not the way it's going to work. That's why I rewinded, because I was confused, like, what the hell that was. Those weren't knockouts. If they were knockout blows, that guy would be on his ass right now. We'll just go straight to round 2. This dude's prepared now. He's like, oh, fucking A, you know? Again, he's just sort of... like, and if they didn't play the last round so weird, it would have been the exact same thing, you know? This right here, right? He kicks the bag. That was a good idea. You can't really see it, but you notice how the dude flinched and he stopped for a second and he looked down? That's a good thing to do when somebody, like, if somebody's robbing you, you should just give them your money, right? But if you absolutely positively had to fight, you could throw your wallet at them, right? I wouldn't advise, like, whipping it at them or anything like that, although, I don't know, they might be like, oh, jeez, right? But the idea is to make them focus on something else, right? Actually, funny thing, if you watch Knife School by Sam, Nick, and Charles, right? $1 Million Extreme. I don't know if you've ever heard of them. I believe it is Charles. Charles demonstrates how you could throw your keys at somebody and then use that to close distance. The distraction, you use it to close distance and you plant one in them, right? It's funny that Charles did that, right? It must be the Irish genes, it must be the squirrely Irish genes in us. Really?
He pulled guard. He literally sat on his
That
back and pulled
you know
guard.
what? You know what? I won't say that's I won't say that's the worst idea in theory. The reason why I'll show you, okay, is because the idea is to use your legs to keep that guy away. Now, in theory, what will happen is this guy will walk into the guard, he will put his feet on the guy's hips, and he will push him away. And he will also use up kicks. That is the theory behind it. You see, that's another piece of it too, is that your legs are going to get cut to hell. It's actually not working that bad right now, but it's mainly because this guy is, one, just kind of slicing the legs up, which I guess you'd rather get...
To everyone's surprise,
You see, you'd rather get cut on certain parts of the leg, but there's also arteries in the leg that are not good to get cut too. That is very... He protected his midsection, which is good, but did one of his arteries get cut? I think is the question. And these dudes, whatever their names are, the medics had better check that. They had better check to see if an artery had gotten cut, because if not, that's some bullshit.
Unfortunately, at the very beginning of the round, Jordan's femoral artery got cut, which would lead to a person bleeding out very quickly unless given immediate medical attention, resulting in...
See, that's what I was afraid of.
the second round.
My strategy was to hurt the guys before they can hurt me. Not only to knock them out, I didn't want to knock anybody out. Hitting somebody hard, it's not only about hurting them, it's about gaining respect as well. If you go too...
See, that's a very Krav Maga, that's a very Israeli mindset about it. And for all intents and purposes, it's the right mindset to have in a situation like this, right? If somebody's coming at you, you don't hit them just to be like, oh, get away. You hit somebody because you want to damage them, and even if you don't damage them, you want them to think, holy shit, that hurt, dude. One thing I will say that he did very well, right, is he swarmed when he needed to swarm, all right? He swarmed when he needed to swarm, okay? So, we'll watch it again, right? Those hard shots were good. You could see, right? You see how for a second he was like, whoa, shit. And then he turned around and he didn't go straight for him right away, right? Natan had a really good grasp of the distance he needed to be at, the way to get away. And then he swarmed and he tried to get control of the knife. And that was good. He actually did very well in this round. Good for him. The only thing I'll say about this, right, is that I think that's the knife. I could be wrong. But whether or not that's the knife, this dude right here dropped the knife. If somebody drops a knife, your goal should be to pick the knife up, right? Or at the very least, get it away, right? You don't want to just sit here while that's there, because if he gets a second, right? If this guy right here, if he gets even a second, all right, he's going to pick that thing back up and he's going to go back to stabbing you. Everything else was good, though. Like, he's doing a really good job because I think he's got the correct mindset about this, right? You see, he's overwhelming him to the point where he's like, oh, dude, like, I don't even want to think about the knife, you know? That's pretty ridiculous. Oh, man. So this is the wall round. Hey.
The timing was right.
That was a smart move.
He was right.
Nathan's kick was so powerful that it left his attacker unable to move for minutes on end.
You see that right there? That's a knockout. That's the one knockout call in this whole thing that I actually agree with, right? That was good. Good on him for timing that, right? I still wouldn't suggest that if you have a car or another object in between you and a guy with a knife, that you try to time him walking around so that you can throw, especially that kind of kick, because even though it worked this time, it's very much a high commitment kick, right? If he missed, he would have been stuck there for an extra second or two, and that could have been time for this dude to catch up, okay? I wouldn't recommend what just happened here, even though it worked out very well for him. If we're just talking from a legitimate self-defense standpoint, it's not a good thing. It's not a good thing to go for, you know?
Before Jesse was fatally stabbed, he hit the attacker's genitals multiple times with the
Oh.
edge, which would have likely stopped the fight. And since the round was not stopped early enough to reflect that, Jesse's first round was counted as...
Would that have stopped the fight though? It's got
And since the round was
like,
not stopped early...
I'll be honest with you. Kicking someone in the nuts is a viable strategy, but it doesn't always work, you know. And with that thing, there's a very good chance that he wouldn't have hit square. So again, that's one where it's like I don't 100% agree with that. If I'm just being honest with you, I don't agree with the stoppage. It's just, again, it's just arbitrary what the judges think, you know. And this almost feels like it was just a way to plug. It's like they were like, hey Jesse, why don't you use the pen to hit him in the nuts, and then we'll throw that into the video, and it'll be advertising dollars for us. Well, you see,
Like a pen? That's even better.
And right now, the first 200 people to order Atomic Bear's Stealth Pen Pro will be second round.
Imagine fencing. Fencer can reach really far. So I hold it in the same kind of grip. This other dude actually has some kind of protection over his face. So that means I can go for the eyes.
please don't go for the eyes. Really?
Jesse's strike directly to the eyes was a fight stopper, resulting
That
in
was,
a second
again, that was not directly to the eyes. If it was directly to the eyes, it would have slipped through the crack that is in the thing and poked him in the eye, and he would have been like, oh! That's what would have happened. It's just arbitrary, weird bullshit. Now, the idea that Jesse had was not like bad in theory, but in practice, again, he didn't hit the guy in the eye, and because of that, the guy was able to close distance. They're rewarding for good theory as opposed to good practice here, you know? And it's almost kind of frustrating, if I'm being honest with you.
And when asked what Craig's strategy for the shank tank was, this was his answer.
Try not to get stabbed. That's it. You always get stabbed, but you just try to get stabbed as little as possible, really.
He knows it. Ah, yes. I was hoping somebody would do that. Hold on. So, he does exactly what should have happened. Go for the arm. So he gets stabbed once, and unfortunately he doesn't quite keep control of the arm in the way that he could have, and it would have been good if he did, but that's exactly what he should have been doing right there. That is perfect, right? Yes. You see, again, you'd rather be getting stabbed on the close side than the far side. Yes, holy shit. This is what I was hoping for. This is exactly what I was hoping for. He got caught in a bad spot there, right? You do see what's happening, though, right? He's getting stabbed a lot less than everybody else. Sure, he gets stabbed fatally, but honestly, like, with how arbitrary everything is, it wouldn't surprise me if there were a couple of times where, like, Nathan was supposed to have been dead. He's doing exactly what he needs to do. That second time in particular, it just got away from him. You know, it went south. Yeah, Craig is not a regular guy. I don't believe what anyone says. Look at that. Again, you see that? You see what's going on here? You see what's going on here? That's exactly what you need to do. That's exactly how you need to do it. Craig is not a regular guy. I don't know who the hell he really is, all right? But they're selling him short. All right, let's see about this. That was interesting. I still don't. Oh man. Again, he's doing what he should be focused on. Ooh, okay. Yeah, I don't know if he's gonna win this one. Although, like I said, he's got the right idea. He's focusing on the right stuff. It's just not working for him right now because it's just not, you know. See, one thing that he was trying to do, I will say, is you'll notice if you watch it back a little bit, right? He's trying to control the arm, and he's going too high up on the arm. If you want to control somebody's arm, you don't try and grab the wrist directly. You start up high, and then you go down, and you're able to grab the wrist because, right, the arm can move, right? The hand can move many more angles, and, you know, the range of motion of the hand is a lot bigger, a lot wider, and a lot more unpredictable than the range of motion of the shoulder, right? The shoulder has a much smaller range of motion. So you go for the thing that has a smaller range of motion, and then you follow it down until you get to the wrist, right? That's how you should be handling that. And you can see he's trying to chase the wrist around. All this stuff where, like, you go to Krav Maga guys, or you go to, like, Silat guys, or you know, other groups of people where, like, they do a martial art where they do knife techniques. Most of it is bullshit, you know. At the end of the day, here's the thing you have to understand about knife martial arts, about weapons-based martial arts, is it has to be better than some idiot swinging like a madman. Pretend this is a knife. All your little silat, like, right? All of that has to be better than some dude who's like, fuck it, you know, just going straight for you. And because a lot of it is very fancy, a lot of it is fanciful, a lot of it is, there's a certain finesse to the movements and things like that, at best they become low percentage. At best, they become low percentage. Typically, they just become impossible, right? They're just not going to work. You're going to get beat or stabbed before you can actually pull that move off. And the same goes for unarmed techniques. The thing you have to realize about knives is that if there is a knife that is deployed in some form and you aren't the one with it, it's not one of your buddies either. Not saying you should be pulling knives, just saying you have to come to the realization and you have to accept the fact that you're going to get cut. You're going to take a knife. That's just what's going to happen. And that's why you should run, because you're never going to be in a situation where you don't get stabbed if somebody pulls a knife on you and you decide to fight them. It's just not going to happen, right? The goal should not be to avoid getting stabbed. The goal should be to try and only get stabbed once or twice in places where it's non-lethal. You need to act quick, you need to act decisively, and you need to act with finality. Because if you don't, you're just going to continuously get stabbed until you die. That's just the way that it is. And it only takes one, too. You just need to get hit in just the right spot. You just need the right organ to be damaged, the right artery to be cut, etc., etc. It's gruesome, you know? And because of that, I predict, not that there really are any like, none of these dudes are Krav Maga guys. None of these dudes are Silat guys or anything like that. The closest thing we have to hoodoo bullshit is Jesse Enkamp, but he's pretty grounded in his interpretation of fighting, even from a karate standpoint, right?